Tuck Homestead. My name is Elizabeth, and this is going to be the 5th week and the final week of the Every Bit Counts Challenge. And I just wanted to thank Jessica over at the Three Rivers Homestead. It's been an amazing experience, and we preserved so much, and we're going to be preserving a lot more. So we'll be doing carrots and whatnot. I have some cabbage, and I also have some broccoli in my garden that's coming up. I have a few beans. They're dwindling down. I did a succession of beans not that long ago, so they're finally popping up and showing themselves. So in this week's video, I'll be doing preserving, and I'm doing some cheese making and kombucha making, and of course scratch cooking. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, let's get into the video. This was Sunday night's dinner, so I had gotten this eggplant from the farmer's market, so I decided that I was going to make a really nice eggplant parmesan. And then for the sauce, I was going to use a sauce that I canned last year, and I'm going to be using some pen noodles, and I'm going to be just putting butter and some fresh spices out of the garden. And then I have some bread from Aldi's and some sausages that are going to be going in this meal. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it pretty simple. My grandmother, she used to actually put salt over the eggplant and put a weight on top and get a lot of the water out, but I'm not even gonna do that. I'm just gonna bread it up like I do fried chicken. I'm using egg, flour, and breadcrumbs, and I breaded those all up, and I'm gonna pop them in the oven at 350 degrees. And for the sauce, I just put my canned sauce in there and one little can, 6-ounce can of tomato paste. And then I just added salt and pepper to it and a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder. And I got my sausages going, and I'm gonna be adding that into the sauce. And I'm just gonna let that simmer for a good hour, and then we'll come back and assemble the eggplant parmesan. This dish is one of my favorite meals, and when my grandmother used to make it, I was so excited, and I watched every little move she made so I can learn how to make it one day. So I didn't really time this. I just cooked it until it was nice and crispy brown, and woof, the oven was super hot when I opened it up. So I'm just gonna take them out, let them cool, and then we'll get it together. So all I did here is just add layers of eggplant and sauce, and it's layered all the way up to the top of the pan. And then we're gonna add the cheese and get this bacon in the oven. If I had some provolone cheese, I probably would have used that because that's my preferred cheese for this dish, but I had mozzarella, and that's what we're gonna use. So that's all sprinkled on the top. And I'm just gonna pop that in a 350 degree oven. And then we are gonna get some of my basil wash that I plucked out of the garden, and I'm gonna make a little pasta dish. So all I'm gonna do is melt a stick of butter. I'm gonna add it to the noodles, and I'm going to chop up a bunch of this basil and add it to the noodles, and that's gonna be a side dish for our dinner tonight. My basil's been pretty prolific this year. I've never grown basil like this. It's always been really rough trying to grow basil, but ever since I've got my new gardens in the yard, they've been doing amazing. And I've even grown one in the front yard in a little pot, and it really loves it. So I'm super excited for this year. We got some beautiful spices, and I've been trying to harvest and dry them as the season is changing. So this is what the eggplant parmesan looks like. It was amazing. And I got my bread with a little bit of spices on top and butter, and then I have my noodles with my butter and basil. And that's what that looks like. It was so delicious. Even the hubs liked it, and he does not really like eggplants or zucchini. This is what we had for dessert. We had a watermelon that we had gotten from the farmer's market, and I got a brilliant idea. I was gonna save the seeds. So next year I'm gonna try to grow these beautiful watermelon that have like a yellow flesh, and they're super sweet. And I have them all dried here. I just wanna make sure they're fully cured. And there's some pepper seeds from one of my plants that I grew. And then I have these wonderful zinnia seeds. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be saving a lot of zinnia seeds because I want to plant them in the front of my yard. for the next season. And then here I have my echinacea is all nice and dry, so I'm putting it in a jar so I can have tea all winter long and make wonderful tinctures. One of my favorite things to do is wild foraging. So I love going on nature walks and exploring new plants and even fungi. That is definitely super fun, and I love learning about plants and making herbal medicine. My morning glories in my front yard are still doing amazing. Every day there's a new bell and there's a whole bunch of them. So I have purple ones, white ones with pink in the middle, and they're all so different and very unique. Hopefully I can get them to grow in a couple different locations for next year. We also made a batch of kombucha this week, so I'm just taking regular black tea. I have Earl Grey as my flavor. I have about 8 tea bags in there. So I'm brewing up at least 2 cups of water for this. Here I have my little SCOBY hotel. It's a bunch of SCOBYs, they're all connected together, and that is gonna help make a new batch of kombucha. So I'm just pouring some of my steeped water into my little French press. I'm gonna let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes and get it nice and dark. And then I'm gonna add it to my jar with a cup of sugar. Let that dissolve really good, and then I'm going to add about 5 or 6 bottles of water. So when you add the water, the bottles of water to the jar, it's going to cool the tea off enough to put the SCOBYs in. And I'm just going to let this sit for 10 days, and then we're going to come back to it and either flavor it or I'm just going to drink it as is. So on top of my jar, I just have a washcloth with a scrunchie, and that's going to keep the buggies out. This week I wanted to stock up on a wheel of cheese, so I'm making farmhouse cheddar from the recipe out of this book, Home Cheesemaking. And it is one of my favorite go-to recipes out of this book, and it just used a few cultures, but this week I am going to be using Flora danica as my mesophilic culture. And then I have some calcium chloride here, and I'm going to be using annatto because I want to make it an orange cheese. Then I have my animal rennet and my little measuring cup. So in my stock pot, I have 2 gallons of milk. I just have whole milk that I just bought at Walmart, and I'm heating that up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 32 degrees Celsius. So I forgot to show it. I added a half a teaspoon of calcium chloride, diluted in a 1/4 cup of cool water. And now here I was just adding my annatto, which is going to make the cheese orange. And I put a half a teaspoon, diluted in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. I'm giving that a good stir. And now I'm going to add the cultures. So I have Flora danica here, and I had just a little bit out of my old package, and I'm going to add a little pinch of my new package, and then I'm going to let that sit for a good 45 minutes and let it marinate. And now that's all marinated, I'm adding my rennet. So a half a teaspoon of that to a 1/4 cup of cool non-chlorinated water, and I gave that a stir, and I'm going to let that sit for 50 minutes. So this is the harvest that I got the other day. It was just a couple things like baby carrots, and I have some beautiful little zinnias I'm going to put in the kitchen. I had a few cucumbers there. I had a banana pepper, and I have my German chamomile that is still coming in. Really prolific, but I'm definitely thankful. And we are very blessed this year. My sidekicks are with me, and I wanted to show you my hubs has been painting a little bit, so we're super excited about that. And he's doing such a good job. So I got this stain from Lowe's, and he has been painting little by little. We have the edge of the house done there, and the porch is all done, and it probably is going to need another coat, but I think it looks really nice. And my pups are very much enjoying it. So I'm just going to check to see if this is coagulated enough. I got my spatula going in, and we are gonna pull up on the curd, and it looks really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the curd, and I'm gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes. And then we are gonna start bringing it slowly up to temperature. So I'm just gonna start slowly stirring the curds. While I am stirring, I'm bringing up the temperature very slowly up to 100 degrees, and it's going to take about 45 minutes. So I'm slowly bringing the temperature up and slowly stirring every 5 minutes. And then once my curds become kind of boingy and they knit together, and then I know it's time to get it in the cheese press. So right here, I'm giving it a little squeeze test, and if it kind of squeezes out of my fingers, it's not ready. It looks like it knitted together really well, and it's crumbling. So now I'm going to get the spices in it. So right here, I have 2 tablespoons of canning salt. That's my go-to salt. And then I have 2 teaspoons of red chili flakes. And there is the ball of curd ready to get mixed up with the spices. And once I get the salt and the chili flake all incorporated, I'm going to get it in the press, and I'm going to start off with 15 pounds of pressure for about 25 minutes. Here I saved the leftover whey from this cheddar cheese, and I'm gonna give it to my chickies this time. I usually make ricotta cheese with it, but I was so busy I didn't have time to make ricotta cheese, so my little chickies are gonna benefit from it. It looks like the curds knit together really well. That's super exciting, and we're just gonna flip it over and put it back in the press for about a couple hours, and it'll go through one more press, and then we'll take it out in the morning. And I'm just gonna let it sit on a plate and let it cure for a couple days, and we'll pop it in the cheese cave. I'm thinking I'm gonna let this cheese age till at least the end of November, because I want it to be nice and smooth and creamy and have a little bit of spice. And that's why I only put 2 teaspoons of the red chili flakes. So let's get it back into the press. While the cheese is in the press, I'm going to make a quick, easy dinner for us tonight. So I have some red glazer hot dogs here, and I'm just going to be making a quick and easy potato salad. These are the potatoes that I had from my garden this year. And while those are all cooking, I'm going to just do a little bitty project. I have some banana peppers that need to go in my little jar of pickle brine here. So I just used refrigerator pickle brine for this year, and I'm just adding to my jar. And I have a few more peppers that I need to chop up, and I'm just going to fill all the jars that I can and get those in the refrigerator and marinating. These are just the extra peppers that I had from making my salsa. So I had a few of those left, and then I have some jalapeno peppers here, and I had some leftover brine from my hot and sweet pickles, so I'm just going to add that to the mix and fill 3 jars. So I filled some jalapeno peppers in a pint jar, and then in my 2-quart jars I have the green and red bell peppers, and then I added some of the bell peppers to my banana peppers. And the little bit that I couldn't fit in the jar, I just vacuum packed that up and I popped it in the freezer. So these are going pretty good. They're almost done, and then we are going to get dinner plated up. And for my potato salad, I added some thyme from my garden, and I added some of the dill pickles, so I had those in there, salt and pepper, and this is one of my favorite spices. I love thyme for medicinal uses and culinary. And then I have some of my cucumbers that are all pickled up now and they taste delicious. So I chopped up 2 or 3 of those. I forget, I think I chopped up 3 little ones. And I got that all mixed up with mayonnaise and it was amazing. I love that quick and easy potato salad recipe. And then for my topping for my hot dog, I have my zucchini relish and it was so yummy. It definitely was speaking summertime vibes. For dessert, the Hubs asked me to make some chocolate chip cookies, but I threw a twist in there. I put some caramel bites. I have some chocolate chips in there. I have milk chocolate chips, and for the topping, I'm going to add a little bit of sea salt, some coarse sea salt, and they turned out so amazing. They were the best, and they really hit the spot that night. One of the canning projects that I decided to do this week was can some chicken. So I'm just gonna raw pack the chicken into my pint jars. But first I have to thaw this chicken because I cannot put it in the jar frozen. It will make my jar explode. So I'm gonna thaw out the chicken. I got it all cut up and then we are gonna put these in my pint jars and get them in the pressure canner. So 2 packages of chicken, I think got me 6 pints. And they were $9 a piece at Walmart. They're getting pretty pricey though. They're up to $13, $14, $15 just for chicken breasts. So I got those in my jars and they're all done. And now I'm gonna wait to let them cool, clean them off, and put them on my shelf. And don't forget to label. All right, the cheese is out of the press. I had it pressing at 60 pounds of pressure for a good 10 hours. And now I'm gonna put it on a plate and I'm gonna cure it for about 2 to 3 days. And I'm gonna flip it for a couple times a day just to let it get dry on both sides. And then we are gonna vacuum pack it up, label that, and put it in the cheese cave. I'm thinking for my next cheese that I want to make an Italian cheese, either provolone or Romano. So I will definitely let you guys know which one I decide on. Hopefully soon. These are the shelves that I got on Amazon, and I love these. They hold 84 pounds a piece, and I use them to store all of my canned goodies. And I even have some tomatoes curing in the window there. But these are so helpful holding all of my goodies that I preserved for the winter. And I have some spices hanging off there, some onions and whatnot. But these are amazing. I love these shelves. And I have a surprise. I wanted to show you that I'm getting ready to get 2 beautiful bunnies. So they are a Flemish mixture and they are going to be big bunnies, but we are going to get into that in a little bit. But first I have some tomatoes that I had just purchased from the Amish, and I'm going to get going on those. This is about a bushel and I got it for $30. So I'm going to start off making some tomato sauce. So it is going to be a universal tomato sauce used in casseroles and spaghettis and whatnot. So here I have it all cooked up and all the spices in it, and now I'm going to get it canned. I'm using citric acid today, and I'm just going to fill these jars. And for the quart jars, I used about a half a teaspoon of that citric acid, and if you're going to use pint jars, that is 1/4 teaspoon of the citric acid. And I'm going to steam can these for about 45 minutes. This was a really late canning night. It was my Saturday, so I didn't mind. I love canning, and I'm a night owl, so it goes hand in hand. So I'm making some dinner. I didn't want to go crazy, but I did make some rolls for our sausages. And I just used the recipe on my blog, thepeacockhomestead.com. The recipe is called a Universal Dough Recipe. And then we had leftover potato salad as a side, and that's what dinner looked like on that night. I'm just taking all my jars out of the steam canner. I could only can 7 quarts and maybe 8 pints at a time. So altogether I got 19 cans, and I'm super excited to get this all done. So that's just pasta sauce for the winter, and that'll be one less thing I'd have to buy at the grocery store. So that makes us happy. We were on our way to a friend's house to go pick up some plants, and we seen this beautiful little foal with her mother. And isn't she just a doll? I love horses so much. And she was just having fun hanging out with her mama that day. So we're finally back from our road trip, and I'm just gonna peek in the front gardens real quick just to see what's going on. This is my beautiful basil plant. It has so many buds on it now, and I can't wait to let it go to seed because I'm definitely saving some seeds. So these are my marigolds. They have been so prolific, and they're so beautiful and bright, and my chickens love these in their nesting box. They're so cute. But I'm going to save the seeds on those as well, and I'm going to hopefully spread them throughout the yard. These are my zinnias. So these have become my favorite flower ever. Just the facts that they are so bright and beautiful, and they're super strong, and you can save the seeds and plant them for the next year. And this is my stevia. I'm actually going to make a tincture out of this so I can sweeten all of my teas and coffee. I think my elderberries are ready to be harvested. The birds and the critters left me a few, so I'm probably gonna harvest these, if not this week, next week. And then I will freeze them and then make some elderberry syrup. So at the end of the week, we finally got our little baby bunnies. They are a Flemish mix, and they are so beautiful and adorable. And they are going to be a wonderful part of our homestead, and we're definitely going to be enjoying our bunnies for a very long time. So right now I'm just feeding them hay, and I'm going to acclimate a little bit of pellets, probably in about a few days, but they're just getting used to the environment, and they're really shy still, so we'll just be working with them, making them comfortable and feeling at home. So this is the last project of the video. All I did with the rest of the tomatoes that I had bought from the Amish, my Roma tomatoes, I just decided to make stewed tomatoes. So I got that all cooked up, and I'm gonna fill up all my jars. I ended up with 16 pints and 1 quart. That's okay. We'll use them in different meals. And this is kind of like a universal sauce to me. I'm going to be making pizza sauce with it, or just a quick casserole, or even a single or double serving of pasta. The future of these jars is they're going to sit on my shelves, and then we're going to eat off them all winter. And this will be the conclusion of the video. I hope you have a wonderful week. Many blessings, and I'll see you on the next one, friends.